Well,
Okay.
the children's referendum will give equal protection to all children.
Can I just tell you what it's about in my own words, from a legal perspective, rather than,
Right.
I mean, this is
Not legal.
communication and it's not legal. Okay, so it's about, like, there's 5 provisions,
Yeah.
which are a new article being inserted into the Constitution, an additional article.
Yeah.
So a totally new one. The first provision in it is a general kind of statement of children's rights, saying that children have rights, recognises the rights, that pre-existing rights that children have,
Right.
which means that, like, so that parents can basically enforce the children's rights through the courts, which they can't do at the moment because, well, it's a technicality.
This is on adoptions, is it?
No, that's a general statement of rights. So it's a general statement that children have rights. The courts have already recognised in many cases that children have rights,
Yeah.
but that's through court interpretation. It's not written in the Constitution. This will be now written a formal recognition of children's rights in the Constitution.
Yeah.
Second provision is about state intervention.
Yeah.
So there's already provision about that.
Yeah.
That will be deleted and they'll put in a new one. And the new provision basically allows for a different type of intervention, in that instead of it always getting to the point where children will be taken away, it will mean that the state will provide kind of different types of supports, to the idea being that it wouldn't get to the point where the child would have to be taken away. So it will still be in exceptional cases, that's in the wording, and it'll be proportionate intervention by the state, that's in the wording.
And what proportionate means?
Proportionate means that it will be relative to the type of harm that's suspected within the family home.
Right.
So wouldn't.
And
So that the point is that, so that
with
means
appropriate?
that appropriate wasn't working, because it meant that the way the courts were interpreting it was meaning that it was really, really like limited. There's different types of protection for children of married and unmarried parents. So if your parents are married, you actually had a less likely protection of the state than if your parents are unmarried. It's a technicality within the Constitution. This corrects that. The next 2 points, the next 2 provisions are around adoption. One of them will mean that if your parents are, again, children whose parents are married couldn't be adopted. Children whose parents can't at the moment. Children whose parents are unmarried can be adopted, but it's in very limited circumstances. Again, this equals it out, meaning that all children can be adopted. In certain circumstances, the legislation is out to show people what those circumstances will be, so people will know what they're voting on, and that's available online. And there's very strict criteria for it. The last 2 provisions, or the last provision, relates to decision making around children in care proceedings, in adoption, guardianship, custody and access proceedings. So it's very limited to those areas only, and it says that the best interest of the child will be the deciding factor in those cases, and then also that in those cases children will be asked what they think. So it won't, what they think won't be the deciding factor. It'll be just one thing. They'll just be included, because obviously a child is anyone up to 17, 18. So 17-year-olds, they're well able to voice their opinion and to be part of that discussion. So it's just bringing them to the table. That's all it's about. And personally, I believe that that's all positive. At the moment, the Constitution, because of some technicalities in it, are hindering the progressing children's, like, their protection. And this will iron that out. It's not a massive change. If it was a massive change, there would be a lot of opposition. There's very little opposition because there's very little to disagree with, because it's actually not a massive change. I wish it was a massive change. I wish it went a lot further for children. It doesn't.